and when we could see warmer temperatures as we head into your first few days of springtime. And we talk about ways to protect your pets and plants on a night like this. A lot of these plants already in bloom. And we're going to talk about the eclipse as it approaches. We talk about how to look out for those fake eclipse viewing devices.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Yeah, certainly got to have the real deal, right, for viewing the eclipse. Well, Tyler Young shared this photo, got the plants all covered up out there for this evening. That is from Trussville. You'll certainly want to take measures to protect the plants tonight because we got some cold air on the way. Let's take you to our First Alert tower camera view right now, and I want to show you the view from Red Mountain. And one thing out there, it is windy here on the mountain right now. We got some gusts over 30 miles per hour across the area, so that wind's whipping the temperature now at 50 degrees. You can see there, quite breezy. I do think the wind settles down after midnight, and that's when those temperatures take a big tumble down into the freezing range. But right now the wind gust, you can see 22 mile per hour gust at Gadsden, 24 around Anniston, Bessemer, gusting over 20 miles per hour, Jasper as well. And we've also seen those high wind gusts over in Tuscaloosa. Look at Birmingham there, winds there around 30 miles per hour. The sky is mostly clear. You look out the window, looks like a beautiful day, but it's just windy and colder. We have some 40s there off to the north. You see a little bit of cloud cover that drifted through, but we've got this second surge of cold air moving in. That's why it's so windy, but we stay very dry through tonight. The temperature, look at Coleman right there showing 45 degrees, 48 for Jasper. Hamilton right now showing 45. Yeah, it's cold already, and I think before midnight, some of these areas to the north, we're going to see those temperatures down into the upper 30s there, even before midnight for some of those locations. So tomorrow, even though it's getting colder, it always seems to work out this way. We're about to say goodbye to wintertime and hello to springtime. The vernal equinox arrives tomorrow night at 10:06 p.m. and then we get to Wednesday. That's our first full day of springtime coming up, and we'll see a nice little warm up. Notice those sunset times, though, inching ever closer there to 7 o'clock as we move ahead. Looking at the UV index forecast this time of the year, something I always like to talk about and give you that first alert. Sunburn can sneak up on you this time of the year because that sun angle, it becomes more direct, especially over the next several weeks. So we'll see that UV index value jumping back into a 7 to 8 range in the high category. So think sun safety here over the next several days. Not a lot of rain in this week's forecast, but there will be a system on the way. It's the next big thing we're going to be talking about. It's going to move in on Thursday. Chance of showers coming back, and you can see some of that rain will be around early on Friday. So do plan for the possibility of some wet weather. Not seeing severe storms. Of course, as we go into the month of April, this is when we're going to have to be on alert here over the next several weeks, just keeping a close watch on that long-range forecast as the pattern, it's going to become more active, and that's typically the case into April. But this week looks like just some showers, and we'll show you more on that, those rain chances coming up in the 7-day forecast. But since we're talking about the cold tonight, meteorologist Matt Daniel joins us now to talk about protecting your plants and gardens as these temperatures fall into the freezing range.
As Wes has been talking about this evening, the big story is that freeze warning in effect for tonight. So we want to make sure you stay prepared. Now, usually, if it's just in the 40s, it's just chilly. You don't have to worry about anything. It's in the 30s, just bring the pets inside. But we're worried about the plants and the pets. So that's what we're seeing, temperatures in the 20s and low 30s. Make sure they stay safe and protected because that freeze can damage a lot of the crops. Now, of course, we are entering that freeze season where the National Weather Service starts issuing those freeze watches and freeze warnings because of tender vegetation that's already blooming. They actually started that on March 6th, and normally they start the season on March 15th. So it's just been unusually warm, early spring, so to speak. So that's why they're doing it. And this is going to continue through November 25th. So, when we get to October and November, when we start seeing those initial freezes, they'll issue those freeze warnings. And then by the time you're in the heart of winter, there's no need to. It's just usually cold all the time. But once again, these are usually intended for plants that are blooming or have already bloomed. So here's a look at the past 10 latest freeze days, just to give you a perspective. Last year, our last freeze happened on March 21st, then March 13th. Back in 2022, we hit a low of 24. But as you can see, over the past 10 years or so, 1, 2, 3, we've had 4 times we've seen freezes as late as April. So it can happen. I would just wait. Normally we say start doing the flowers and bloom everything after April 15th. That's when you're usually pretty much safe to go. So the latest last freeze we've ever seen was April 23rd back in 1986, and normally our last freeze occurs on March 25th. Of course, with the cold temperatures, perhaps you just don't want to turn on the heat quite yet, but you still want to stay warm. So maybe you want to grab that space heater just to be safe. Once again, just make sure you place that heater on the floor and make sure it's leveled and not on a non-flammable surface. We just look out for your safety. Keep it at least 3 feet away from anything that's flammable, and make sure you plug it directly into an outlet. Don't use an extension cord. Sometimes that can cause some fires as well. And just make sure it's turned off if you leave a room or before you fall asleep. So just stay warm. We got freezing temperatures tonight. We'll see some improvement with those temperatures over the next several days.
Thanks, Matt. And emergency leaders are getting ready for spring tornado season, as I was talking about, with the month of April coming up, which means an added layer of protection for our neighbors in Talladega. Right now, our East Alabama reporter Reggie Kyle joins us to talk more about a new storm shelter that's been developed in that area. Tell us about it, Reggie.
West, this new storm shelter can accommodate up to 48 people and withstand winds up to 250 miles per hour. The city of Talladega's new storm shelter at Jemison Park will provide a safe place to go in the event of severe weather. This new storm shelter would be much sturdier for residents who find themselves in homes such as mobile homes that are unsafe during tornadoes. Now, with the growing threat of tornadoes, city leaders tell me this new storm shelter will potentially save lives, and the city plans on adding a second shelter in the near future. Reggie Kyle, WBRC, Fox 6 News, on your side.
Thanks a lot, Reggie. And always great news. Great to see those shelters going up. And always, this is a great time just to kind of think about your severe weather safety plan and where you would go in the event that we do see a threat of severe weather. And as we continue to talk about the spring severe weather season, the cleanup continues for Americans who live in areas that were hit by those tornadoes last week. We're telling you all about what happened this past Thursday night. Storms ripped through parts of Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, and Arkansas. When this was happening last week, I just looked at the map, and this is one of the more significant severe weather events, more widespread impacts that I have seen in quite some time. The National Weather Service confirming 8 tornadoes in Ohio alone, including an EF3 tornado. The Indian Lake section of Logan County, Ohio, was one of the hardest hit areas. 3 people sadly were killed and about 40 others were injured. One woman described speaking to her father right before he lost telephone service.
And I said, hey, they said there's like a big dangerous tornado in Lakeview, like you need to take cover. And he said, I'm trying to, like I'm getting to the closet, and the phone cut out, just completely cut out. My dad's garage was leveled. The back of his house is gone, like everything's gone. Just climbing over everything, screaming for our dad. When I finally found him, though, he said, stop crying.
These storms also damaging dozens of homes in Indiana and brought tornadoes to Illinois and Missouri. And in Iceland, a state of emergency being issued after the 4th volcanic eruption since December began late Saturday. These images are just so incredible. You see these views of the eruption in the Ray Jonas Peninsula that's reaching the defense around the town of Grindavik that was previously evacuated. Tourists at the popular Blue Lagoon Resort and Spa were also evacuated. An official with the University of Iceland said that they were prepared for the eruption and that the area was almost identical with the February 8th eruption, but just incredible to see those views, and certainly a sign that our Earth is very well alive.
This was definitely expected. There had already been several statements issued from the Icelandic Met Office about an imminent eruption in the area, but of course the exact time of it starting is it's not possible to predict.
And officials say the flow of lava has lowered significantly since Saturday. And in 30 seconds coming back, we'll talk more about the cold for tonight. I know we have spring break coming up. I want to show you what the forecast is looking like for the Smokies and also down along the coast. I'll show you in 30 seconds. Stay tuned. And interesting, we were talking about volcanoes before the break. You remember Mount St. Helens? That actually erupted March 27, 1980. I knew that anniversary was coming up, so it reminded me of that specific volcano, of course, a big story here. Smoky Mountains forecast coming up this weekend. If you are planning on visiting the Smokies, you can see Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures in the 60s. Looks like a dry weekend here coming up. Starting out next week, some clouds, maybe a couple of showers there early next week. The main rain chance, though, coming up on Friday. Along the coast, it looks like the daytime temperatures make a nice recovery back close to 70 for this weekend. Overnight lows in the 50s, but also a dry weekend forecast. So if your spring break starts this weekend, as far as the travel conditions, just watch out some showers there impacting the region on Friday. And especially the forecast shows 20% there for that Gulf Coast forecast. I think we're going to see some showers there late Thursday night, certainly down along the Gulf Coast. But we'll talk about our 7-day forecast coming up. But we're also tonight investigating fake solar glasses meant to protect you during the solar eclipse that could be dangerous for your eyes. Consumer investigator Rachel DePompa finds out when you or shows you where and what to look for.
That's the path of totality. That's where you'll be able to see the total solar eclipse. I've been interested in astronomy for as long as I can remember.
Justin Bartle doesn't necessarily call himself an eclipse chaser.
Not a real avid one, but since they've been so convenient recently, yeah, I have been trying to chase them down.
This is the second time he's going to be in the path of totality, where the world goes blissfully dark for several minutes. Bartle is an astronomer who now brings the universe to children at the Science Museum of Virginia. He says a solar eclipse is a cosmic experience.
A unique way to see our connection, our relationship to the universe around us.
A large swath of North America will experience a total eclipse on April 8th.
It's pure science in real time.
Fernando Carcoboso is a scientist with NASA. We caught up with him at the Goddard Space Flight Center in Maryland. He says eclipse glasses are a necessity.
You can be fully blind, serious damage. We naturally don't look at the sun.
The danger is you could develop something called solar retinopathy. When the moon blocks the sun's light during a solar eclipse, it makes everything darker. And your pupils, well, they become larger and they let more light in, causing damage. It's often painless, meaning you don't even know you've hurt your vision until it's too late. NASA scientists say regular sunglasses aren't enough for eclipse viewing.
Don't look for any random web page on the internet. Just go for certified places where you can actually buy good quality optics.
During the last solar eclipse in 2017, we documented several fake glasses being sold at major online retailers.
600 pairs of solar eclipse sunglasses, all fake.
For the upcoming eclipse, our investigative team found you need to be careful what you buy online. We ordered glasses from popular sites like Amazon and Etsy. 2 of the glasses were recommended by the American Astronomical Society. They're made of sturdy material, and we could only see the sun when we looked up. But we had questions about 2 other glasses we bought. When we tested them outside, we could see more than just the sun. We reached out to Amazon, Etsy, and Temu about glasses sold online to ask if they verify the sellers. We never heard back from Etsy or Temu. Amazon responded back, but would not go on record about our safety questions. Justin Bartle also had questions.
A little more light comes through these. Than those. It is the 21st century, so there's also nothing stopping anybody from downloading the ISO graphic, putting it on there.
He says you need to buy from a reliable source or reputable vendor, like a science museum. The manufacturer should be named on the American Astronomical Society's list of approved eclipse glasses. Your glasses should have the ISO logo and numbers 12312-2 printed on the glasses. Your eclipse glasses should be less than 3 years old. So your glasses from 2017 are no longer good, and you should not be able to see anything through them except the sun.
And a quick correction, I mentioned a few moments ago talking about Mount St. Helens. That eruption happened May 18th in 1980, but actually started awakening during this time of the year. But the eclipse, of course, that's going to be a big story. Don't forget we have a lunar eclipse. It's going to come up next week on the 25th of March. So you won't need eye protection for that. It's the overnight eclipse. We'll see that. Hopefully the weather will cooperate, but we'll talk a lot more about that coming up. Also coming up, we're going to talk about our 7-day forecast. We've got freezing temperatures tonight, but when will those warmer conditions make a return? I'll let you know, plus more on the next chance for rain as we continue right here on Weather Extra. Welcome back in. We managed to see a little bit of sunshine yesterday, and Bob Phillips was able to capture this view from New Market. How lovely is this photo? I mean, what a piece of art here. The sky conditions had a few clouds out there today. Christy Kahn sharing this photo from Warrior, and perfect kite flying weather, of course, so a great way to take advantage of the breezy conditions. It's still windy out there right now. You can see our camera kind of shaking here at Straight Mountain from those gusty winds. First alert sky vision. Temperature right now at 47 degrees, but the chill is going to be in the air for tonight. We're down to 43 right now at Coleman and Haleyville, so it's a quick drop off. And when you factor in those winds out of the north, the feels like temperatures are now in the 30s for those areas. So bundle up out there. Very chilly for this evening. The gusty winds will finally settle down after midnight, and that's when the temperature takes the big tumble here. We have the freeze warning for most of Alabama. Lows 26 to 32 degrees. Make sure tonight you take measures to protect sensitive vegetation. If you can bring the plants in, do so. If you have any blooms out there you want to protect, maybe you can find landscape fabric will even work, something, a breathable fabric there. You can cover those plants up to offer some protection for tonight, and make sure all our pets have a warm place. Check on friends, family, and I'd go ahead and put those faucet covers on, especially for areas to the north. We're going to see those lows down into the mid-20s there for tonight, but notice by 10 o'clock we're tumbling down into the 30s in a lot of areas, showing 40 at Tuscaloosa, 37 at Anniston and Gadsden there by 10 p.m. After midnight, 6 a.m. in the morning, freezing conditions at freezing line. It drops even south of Montgomery in the morning. Looks like down close to the Gulf Coast there early in the day. But the afternoon, a nice improvement. We'll see upper 50s. Sunshine comes back, and the wind tomorrow out of the west at about 5 to 15. It won't be as windy, but still enough of a breeze. It's going to be kicking up that tree pollen, which is all over the place now. And Wednesday mornings could see some frost around, but we'll see a nice improvement there Wednesday afternoon. Highs close to 70 degrees. But the next big thing is going to be a chance for some showers coming back late on Thursday. We're tracking a system that's going to move mainly down across the Gulf of Mexico, and we catch the north end of this. So we're going to be kind of in the cooler sector, not really seeing a risk for severe storms, but I'm seeing a chance for some showers late Thursday and into Friday morning. Some data keeps us mostly dry, but I would plan for the possibility of some wet weather early on Friday. It's not a powerful system. It's going to move on by, and then we get into Saturday, and just in time for the weekend, we'll have dry weather coming back. So again, tomorrow looks dry, just freezing there to start off, and then that sunshine comes back. But you can see that system there Thursday into Friday, and then for the weekend, Saturday 68, afternoon highs close to 72 again for Sunday. But as we look ahead and beyond the 7-day forecast, I do see the pattern as we go into April becoming more active. There's going to be a system towards the middle of next week. What you're looking at here is the 8 to 14-day temperature outlook, and you can see there's a decent chance for below average temperatures, although as I look into the weekend and early next week, I'm not seeing overnight lows in the freezing range. It looks like the coldest weather, at least in the next 7 to 10 days, we're going to experience that during the overnight hours. But you can see as far as the 6 to 10-day rainfall outlook, it looks like those rain chances start to go above average. There's the 8 to 14-day outlook, and for most of the state, it looks like higher than the average rain chances. And I mentioned, we'll kind of be watching what happens here in the long range with a system next week. Here's our weather calendar, and I highlighted next Tuesday and Wednesday, the 26th and 27th, a system moving in. At one point, it looked like this might bring us a risk for some severe weather. Still need to watch it. The possibility of this bringing a risk for strong thunderstorms has backed off over the past couple of days, but we'll continue to monitor. But just know we could see some rain, some storms by next Wednesday. Looks like towards the end of next week, that final weekend of March, we'll see a rain chance coming back around the 31st, and then also into early April. So that's long range. A lot can certainly change, but one thing you notice, we do start to see more of these systems lining up in the long range, and we'll need to keep a close watch on how those evolve as we gather more data. So check the First Alert weather app for updates, and also be sure to check in with us for updates, and we'll have more on the 7-day after the break.